Welcome back to the show. We're about to learn the secret sauce.
Thanks so much for taking an Uber over.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's a cool space.
Yeah. You've been to San Francisco before.
Yeah. I lived here many moons ago, too.
Really? During tech time?
Tech time. Yeah, 2013. So it's been
I
a
guess
minute.
your whole career has been tech time because you went to
that's
school
true.
for tech. What school did you go to?
Iowa State. Go
Iowa
Cyclones.
State. Okay.
I was the college
Caitlin
mascot.
Clark? No, that's the other one.
Yeah, that's the other one. That's okay.
Amazing. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Yeah, Cyclone's completely different.
Yeah, it's
Mess it
fine.
up. I'm trying to think. Keyshawn Johnson, he was a wide receiver for the Bucks. He played for Iowa State.
I believe you.
Yeah,
I'm
don't
not
know.
a sporty person.
I randomly met a football player at Config.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
it's like a whole nother story I'll share later. But
It's such a whole different world that I genuinely like. It's fun to talk about and learn from people who are into it, but I'm not enough into it to validate anything.
Okay, well, we're here to talk about what you're into, which so secret sauce. We talk about open source journeys, founders journeys, and your journey's like overlapped with mine quite a bit. Like we've been in separate rooms, I guess I would say.
Right.
This
I feel like
entire
we've
time.
been ships passing a whole lot.
Yeah. So you, I think I first was aware of you when you joined Netlify.
Yeah. I actually think that's when I was first aware of you too, even though you weren't there.
Yeah. No, my commits were still there.
Yeah, exactly.
But before that, you actually React training. You did that before, but you've done a bunch of stuff before. But actually, I want to talk about what you're doing now today. So Brainstory is what you've been working on as of recent.
Right. Yeah. And we're open sourcing it and saying goodbye, sadly.
Yeah.
We've been through lots and lots of pivots and stuff at my startup, and it was a very cool learning experience. And now I'm a free agent speaking at conferences until I figure out the next thing.
Yeah. And so I want to dig into that a bit because I feel like folks should definitely check out your free CodeCamp journey and story with Quincy because you've got all your origin story out there. So like we're just gonna like in progress talk. So talk about like Cassidy Brainstory. Like what was that journey?
Yeah, so it's kind of a fun journey because it started from my Patreon actually, where like I have a Patreon where it's offering like resume reviews and practice interview and stuff because I was trying to kind of guard my time because I was doing it so much for nothing, and so it started a Discord group. And so I just have like a Discord group online where people chat about tech, about interviews, about everything. And at this point, it's just kind of an online community. And I was mailing stickers to people manually. And the stickers matter because my now CEO, which again, we're splitting up the company, she messaged me saying, I notice you're doing this by hand. What if I built a platform to help mail stickers? And I was like, I'd use it. Great. And thus the company was born. And so it was a platform to mail stickers to people for like influencer content creator types, and it went really well. We actually helped Ludwig break a world record for the most number of subscribers on Twitch with the platform, but stickers weren't exactly our passion, and so she started working on like different iterations of it, and I was just an advisor for them because I was still at Netlify at the time when we were doing all of that. And through various iterations and stuff, it started to be more tools for like streamers to figure out like sentiment around content, and then tools for streamers to retain subscribers. And it was very like streamer content creator oriented. And then around the time when I joined, I was basically talking to them about, or joined full time rather, we were talking about like, okay, how do we help dev advocacy teams with their content? Because I feel like technical content creators are a really specific niche, and this was also before ChatGPT and everything was coming out. And we basically started building all of these tools that would take podcasts and conference talks and stuff and turn them into blog posts, turn them into tutorials, turn them into tweet threads, get highlight clips from videos, that kind of stuff. And it was very fun, very cool. And then GPT came out. And so we kind of kept going back to the drawing board saying, okay, what if we made this like self-serve tool for scaling up your content, or all of these tools for dev advocates specifically. And after various pivots and iterations and stuff, and then GPT-4 came out, and we were like, oh no, it's getting
better.
Yeah, it's getting it's better. And like our little models were good, but we could just start using theirs. And then people were just like, oh, you're just a GPT wrapper. We had a really good developer API for helping people turn media into prompted content. And so that's where we started building tools that were more consumer oriented. And so the first iteration that turned into Brainstory was a tool for helping high school students plan out college essays, where they were able to talk to a bot, and as they were able to talk to it and figure it out, it wouldn't write the essay for them, but it would start doing like Socratic questioning, like, you said your family's important, tell me why, or tell me about someone in your family that really matters to you. And the prompting was prompting the humans rather than for prompting the AI to give you answers and stuff. And we thought that was a really cool concept. And so we ended up making it more general, where it was just, you can brainstorm anything. And it ended up being a tool where you could talk to it saying, I want to plan a conference talk. I'm not sure where I'm going to go about it. And it would use that Socratic questioning to kind of pull the ideas out from you. And it never wrote the talk for you, but it would just say like, okay, here's what we talked about, go forth. And honestly, I still really love the tool, which is why I'm glad we're open sourcing it and putting it out in the wild, but it just wasn't venture scale enough to be a full-on business.
Did you have customers that were using that? Was it students?
Yeah. We had student customers. We talked to students. We talked to a lot of companies who were actually using it for like async meetings. And we had just enough paying customers where we kept trying, but then not enough to keep us going. And so that's why we were kind of like, okay, well, we had that meeting where it was kind of bittersweet. Where we're like, I think we're done, dang, but we're open sourcing it so people can use that kind of system for future projects.
And that was 2 years of going at it?
Yeah, Brainstory itself has been about a year, but everything else has been about 3 years.
Okay, with stickers and everything like that.
Right, yeah, from stickers to where we are.
Yeah. So like, what's interesting about this, like you have a Discord, you're shipping stickers, but it's also you create content. You have a newsletter.
Yeah.
So like, what got you into? Because I think I was aware of you even before. No, actually, after Netlify was TikTok, right?
That was it was before, but I like started ramping up right a little bit before. I was at CodePen actually when I started doing those.
Oh, that's right. I was just talking to Jake
nice.
at Figma, and he was at CodePen.
Yeah, we overlapped 1 week where like he was onboarding me and he was like, by the way, I'm going. And I was like, dang it, but he's cool.
Yeah, good times. So why TikTok? Like, what got you there?
So I wanted to tease people. I tech is such like a serious industry, and sometimes you want to make fun of it. And I really like making videos, but it's kind of a pain to edit videos. And TikTok, I truly just downloaded it because I heard it had a good video editor, and I wanted to make a video teasing the 10x engineer concept, because everyone was like, you need a 10x engineer to be successful, and like these 10x engineers do whatever. And so I just wanted to make a video of me pretending to be a 10x engineer where I was just like, this is blockchain and I eat it up for breakfast, and just silly things like that. I never sleep. I take micro naps and I just blink slowly. Just silly things like that. And people liked it, and I was just like, oh, cool. Well, I'll keep making some, because I have so many like video ideas where I mostly just want to make fun of things in the industry, and that just kind of spiraled into a thing where I had a decent following, but not that decent when I started making these. And then like literally within 2 days, I got 60,000 followers on Twitter.
Which video is that?
That was the one directly after the 10x one, where it was like when your code works on the first try. And it was from the Cinderella movie with Whoopi Goldberg, Whitney Houston, Brandy, where it's like impossible. And so it was just like everybody saying that's impossible because the code works on the first try. That one just exploded. And I wasn't doing it for the followers. I was truly just kind of making memes like I always did, but it was in video format. And I think TikTok was just not popular enough that people were like, what is this? And so other developers weren't really using TikTok, and I was just putting the videos on Twitter, and it just
were you using Fleets back then?
Yeah. Wow, Fleets. Rest in peace.
Fleeted away. But no, it was like at that moment is actually when I started doing TikToks, and I think it was a Cinderella thing.
Yeah.
Because I saw that, I was like, man, this is. I think I saw it from Chloe Condon.
Oh, okay.
And she had like retweeted it, and I'm like, oh, who's this person? And I was like, oh, my contemporary, because also I remember that movie, and then I grew up watching all that stuff.
Movie.
And so I think my first video was actually, there was like the ending of Black movies, like there was like a meme that was going around. It was a while before I created my first video, but it was an inspiration of that like running through the flowers and impossible. Yeah. Anyway, we should probably like interject the clip so that people have context of what we're talking about.
Yeah, all of these wonderful movies. But yeah, it started as just kind of me joking around, and then it became a thing, and then it kind of just, the pandemic made it.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm not doing anything else. Might as well make some memes, and I don't do them as much anymore, but sometimes I'll see something I'm like, I can make a little video on that.
Get some inspiration. Mm-hmm. So like the goal is not to grow, like how many followers do you have on TikTok?
I don't know.
It's probably a lot. We'll put it right here on the screen. But so the goal is like not to get a bunch of followers and like.
No, I probably should care about follower counts more and to like boost numbers and probably make more revenue or whatever, but it's too stressful to care about the follower count. I kind of just do what makes me laugh. I feel like some of my favorite videos are ones that got like no attention whatsoever because it's way too niche. Like I did one joke that was related to the musical Dreamgirls and React Use Effect. I thought it was hilarious, but there were like 3 people in the world who got it because it's so specific. And I feel like that is more fun to me, to just make these niche jokes where I'm kind of just laughing, and if someone gets the joke, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's like punk rock. It's like it's cool when no one likes it and like there's a scene. And you could probably pick almost anything. And I think tech for a long time was like, if you're an engineer and living in San Francisco, like working at a coffee shops, like there was a moment like probably 12, 15 years ago where that was like different. Like Phil's Coffee is that's like not cool
everywhere.
Anymore. Yeah. But now it's like it's mainstream. And like we're in a current moment, like everyone's using Next.js. Right. Like we're in a moment that everyone has like a mainstream thing, and like it's now not cool to use a mainstream thing, so I use something else.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what my thought was for that.
We're all hipsters and wannabes probably. Yeah. And I definitely like, especially now that Twitter feels different and isn't even called Twitter anymore, and everybody's using TikTok and stuff. It's still fun and I still put content on those, but I've definitely tried to lean more into like my own spaces on the internet that can't be taken away. You know, where I feel like when a certain someone took over Twitter, like the audience changed so much that it felt like I wasn't talking to the same people. And I was kind of like, okay, I want to kind of own my own space where people can read it if they want to. So like I leaned more into my own blog and into my own newsletter and community on Discord and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's fascinating because like you do have probably from the TikTok you have a following on Twitter as well.
Yeah.
But also I've subscribed to your newsletter, and you have like tell me the story of why the newsletter, how that started.
Yeah, it actually started because I was working on an online course and I wanted to promote it.
Okay.
So this was back in 2017 where I liked the idea of writing something more, and I've always been blogging forever, it feels like. But I was talking with Udemy because I was making my first course with them, and they said, yes, you can like post on Twitter, post in various places, and people will see you, but you got to get in people's inboxes. And so I kind of took the advice and was like, sure, and I'll try to make it valuable, because what's a newsletter that I would want to read? And so I thought, okay, I'll have like web links of the week, something a little bit about me, but also like practice interview questions and a joke, because I like jokes, and I'll always include like something related to keyboards. And so it kind of just made it for that, but then it grew way beyond that, and it just started to become this place where people send me their interview question answers every single week, and I built like more workflows for it, and it's been like my consistent thing where 2017 till now, every single week.
Yeah, you don't have to answer this question, but do you write your own jokes?
Sometimes.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm very proud when I put in a joke that I write, but when you write a newsletter for every single week for 7 years, you start to borrow some, or you see them on joke subreddit or something.
Yeah. So how many subscribers on the newsletter today?
About 17,000.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to get to 20K by the end of the year, but I'm also not good at marketing, so I'm not sure how to do that, but we'll see if we get there.
Okay. But you have sponsors in your newsletter.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And I think what has been interesting there is like I've tried working with like salespeople and stuff to get sponsors, and I've found that I make significantly less with those, because when people like go to an ad group or something, they're like, I want a lot of clicks, I want a lot of that. But when people go to me and they want to sponsor content, it's because they want to like get an influencer's take on it, or get like an individual's take on like, is this something that you find valuable, that your users would find valuable, or your readers? And it's been an interesting dynamic, because the sponsors are great, and I've been really happy to get anything to offset the costs of it, because a lot of it was coming out of my own pocket for a while. But yeah, it's been cool, because as I've started working with some of the sponsors to like make more content for them or have more people subscribe to my newsletter and stuff, it's been a good insight into how a lot of products work that I wouldn't normally get, because they're saying, we really want to promote this because nobody knows about it. And I'll be like, oh, I'll play with it. And it's kind of cool to have that insight into the product, but then also make something and show it to readers.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something I want to, it's like a VC term, double click on, which you had mentioned, which is you're not great at marketing.
Yeah.
But you've been doing like developer relations and developer experience. Like,
right.
Do you feel like, I guess I guess what I'm trying to say is like, what I'm observing is like your authenticity is like, I'm just doing a thing and like people will like it or not like it.
Yeah.
But like, it seems like people are liking what you're doing.
I think that's just a lucky coincidence that people happen to like it. Yeah, because I probably should have more of a strategy for things, but I don't. I kind of just do what seems most fun, and luckily, thank goodness, it's generally worked out.
Yeah.
And I feel like it ends up being less stressful because I'm not relying on anything for a follower count or for a certain number of income, certain number of clicks. I have been told I'm probably missing out on a lot of dollars as a result, and I probably am. Yeah, but the mental piece of that is really nice.
You can sleep at night and not have to worry about shipping a newsletter based on someone's because you're pretty consistent about this.
Yeah, no, I've been good about shipping it every week. When I gave birth, I had to have a few automations because I was like, I'm not gonna have time. But besides that, I've been pretty happy with the consistency, and I think it's been good for me to have that consistency. And I know that a lot of people like really bank on it now, where enough people are just like, this is the thing I read every single week that gets me through the week.
Yeah,
and
Sunday
hearing
nights
things
is
like
your
Sunday night, Monday morning, depending on your time zone. Sometimes it's earlier or later in the night, depending on how sleepy I am. But it's important for me to continue it going, and it feels like it's something that I can put out the world that has appeared to be net good.
Yeah. So there's like, so it sounds like you're also pretty like you stick to your guns and like, this is what I want to do. There's like clearly like a new influencer within like X, Twitter, Twixer. I like Twixer.
Yeah, that's kind of a fun way of saying it.
Yeah, okay. But I guess what I'm getting like, there's like, I saw in the pandemic, there's a lot of gurus that came out of like, hey, I'm an expert on this, and let me show you how to X, Y, Z. And then it was always super underwhelming. Like for folks who had been in engineering for a while, it's like, I don't think I'm going to go through this content.
Right.
Like what keeps you from not going down the easier path of like, I've got 70,000 newsletter subscribers. Or I've got
I'm a professional. Listen to me. Like that,
that
kind of stuff.
And that I think with influence, you can dictate parts of your career as well. And like, I've got a whole journey of like my journey, which I do stuff, but I'm consistent, but I don't like to be always up front. Despite also like hosting a podcast all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like what prevents you from like, okay, let me just go like sell out?
It just seems so cringy. I like when I see certain people who have gone the influencer route and like being just like, here's 10 things that I think will make you go to 10x or something like that. I'm just like, that's just not real. That
sounds like a TikTok. You should be making that.
I probably could, and it would probably do numbers. And like what's annoying is they do end up doing numbers. Where for a few things, like I have written stuff like that, and like ghost written it, quote unquote, for other people, being just like, you know that you have this information, just write it like this, and then they do, and it does numbers. I'm just like, dang, that is a thing, but that doesn't feel like who I am, and I feel like I would be too much like, oh, gross, if I actually did do that. Where if you see me doing it, it's because I need the cash. But it's like, it just doesn't feel right, you know.
Yeah.
And like once again, like if a company's going to pay me to post about it, I'm willing, but it's there will be a lot of caveats behind the scenes to make sure that it at least feels a bit more real to me.
Okay, so you have a large community. You have folks that like they do engage with your content. They feel like they see themselves in Cassidy and like, oh, I can do this as well. Like, also I'm gonna call like the elephant in the room, like women in coding, minorities in coding. Like, how do you feel for that pedestal? Like, do you feel like you lean into that, or is that just a thing that exists?
I feel like I used to lean into it more, and I still care deeply about it and stuff. Like I still talk to women in like the Latinas in community in computing groups, and like I have like various channels that I speak to, and I used to be really involved with the National Center for Women in IT and CWIT, and I still talk to like high school girls and do resume reviews and stuff for them. But I also don't want that to be my entire shtick, because unfortunately, when that is your entire shtick, people stop listening to you.
Yeah.
And which is annoying. And that shouldn't be how it is, but it is how it is. Where there was a period where I was only asked to talk about women in tech stuff. and I was only asked to be on panels about that. And it's annoying when you have code you want to talk about and cool projects you want to say, but that's all people want to talk about. And so I do care about it and I'm involved with that sort of thing, but it's definitely more behind the scenes now because I've found that is more valuable than just being like, it's hard, world. And
yeah, lean in.
Yeah. All of that.
Yeah. So going back to, so we went a roundabout way, like you've been involved in a lot of stuff. You also do a little bit of angel investing as well. I don't know if you're still active on that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that I kind of started on accident where there's this VC group, Shrug Capital. They're fun. They invest in a bunch of things. And they said, do you want to do scout investing? And I had no idea what that was. And I learned a whole lot about investing from there, where scout investing, for those who don't know, is you say, I think this is a company that could use some cash and like I believe in them and stuff. And then the VC gives you money to give money to that company. And then if that company exits, you get like a percentage of the profits, that sort of thing. And so that's mostly how I started, where Shrug was like, do some scouting for us, invest in 10 companies. This is how much you'll invest, go. And it was a really cool experience to be able to talk to founders, get on cap tables and understand that world without having to spend too much of my own money. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I got started in it. And then I started working part-time with OSS Capital for a little bit to like advise some startups. And I got way more into startup advising and stuff. And I love that side of things where I can say like, this is what I would do, but follow your dreams. And when they follow my advice and it works, it's really, really exciting, where companies like Supabase, for example, I was able to say like, I think you should really lean into the memes because you guys are good at it. And if you push on it, you could be really known for that and it could work. And look at them now. They're really good at memes. And I'm kind of like, I helped with that. That's fun. And so being able to be a part of that with startups is really cool.
Yeah, I talked to Supabase. I don't think I've ever said this publicly, but I angeled in Supabase like early days. I don't know if you were also
I did
that.
too. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think they got a lot of really like known DevRel people at the time, and I think it worked out really well for them.
I think that worked incredibly well.
Yeah, because their launch week, like it's a thing that everyone copies at this point.
Right. Yeah, I think they planned out their strategies really, really well, and they were also quick to fix mistakes and be just like, okay, this was wrong. We should improve this. And I think when you are very developer oriented, you have to move in that sort of direction to do that type of developer marketing, which I know I already said earlier, I'm not that good at marketing. I'm good at doing the developer marketing for companies or like I'm not as good at promoting my own things, but for companies, there's like some playbooks that are pretty tried and true that if you apply them well, you can take them anywhere.
Yeah, it's different when you see it through someone else's lens and you can kind of see.
Right, exactly.
From the
There's less personal stuff attached to it. And it's just like, this is what we need to do for the business.
Yeah. And you mentioned mistakes too as well, which I wanted to ask, like, what's wrong with JAMstack? Sorry, non sequitur.
Here's the thing. I think it got too broad so that the shareholders would be happy. And I think JAMstack really is just web development. And I still think that the community is there. They just don't really have a home. Yeah. And maybe it needs to be rebranded or changed or something. But I think there is a lot of value in the concept of like pre-building something, using like APIs to pull content in and render stuff mostly pre-built and pull in data as needed, that concept. But the marketing and the business side got in the way of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sad note, but I wanted to go back to your content. So like what's next for Cassidy? Like your Brainstory is now open sourced.
Yeah.
You're currently without job?
I'm currently without job.
Yeah. So what's next for Cassidy? Are you gonna do more writing?
I'm kind of figuring that out. Yeah, I've really been enjoying writing more just on my blog, cassidy.co, where I've just been writing about like technical things, non-technical things, and just kind of figuring out what I like to write about again, because I really enjoy writing in general. I've been speaking. We were just at Figma Config, and that's my third conference this month, and going to breathe a little bit after this and figure out like, do I want to go into startups again? Do I want to try a big company for once? Do I want to just work on open source and hope I can make some cash? I'm figuring that out.
Yeah, it's like, so looking at you and maybe providing you a Dr. Phil moment, which is like, you've got a lot of like irons that you could like probably stoke and like specialize in.
Yeah.
I think your content's like off the chain, I guess. Do kids say that anymore?
Word.
It's fleek. Man, my age is showing.
Yeah,
but
it's okay.
Yeah, so like what Jason's doing. So Jason Langsdorff to ship yesterday shipped his like 4 devs, web devs, episode 1.
Yeah.
And I felt like that's like the whole world of like DevRel content's like completely shifted. Like DevRel teams are different. Like I don't know what's your opinion on DevRel versus developer engagement.
There's so many titles that are generally the same thing, and I think it depends on what the company wants, where sometimes they just want someone who can translate external developers to internal product. Sometimes it's just dev marketing. Sometimes it's a content machine. There's so many different angles of it.
Yeah. I think it might be so in the DevOps world, like DevOps engineer versus SRE, like it's a pay difference.
Yeah.
And I think with the DevRel versus developer experience, maybe it's just like how many emails you send.
Yeah, and how many meetings you might have, how much code you might write. It can really vary. And to what your point that you were making before, like I like the idea of doing more content on my own, but like I was saying before, I just don't want to deal with view counts and followers and like the clicks and stuff, because I want to be able to not have to rely on that to continue to make more, or like rely on making like a good thumbnail that people will click on and that kind of thing. I just want to make something that is valuable and interesting. And so I like the idea of doing some of that, but I don't know if I want to do that full time yet.
Yeah, it's the so you think you'll do engineering next then?
I don't know. I really am trying to figure that out. And just to add some more color to it, I have a 1-year-old at home now, which is very, very fun. Thank you. And she's awesome. And it's one of those things where I'm like, I kind of like the idea of doing a startup again, but also startups take a lot of time and I want to spend time with her. I could do a big company for a little while, which I might not enjoy as much as a startup, but I want to spend time with her. Or I could just do open source and figure out like how I can make certain money here and there on content and things so I can have more ad hoc time. It's a weird identity shift and balance to try to figure out what is the best move, and I want to be thoughtful about it for as long as I can without needing to be like, oh, I got to pay some bills.
Yeah. Even like there was like a trend of a lot of DevRel leaders to do agencies.
Yeah.
So like you just like augment doing DevRel for a quarter or whatever. Have you done this, like contract with folks?
I've done contract things and a lot of advisory work, and I'm still doing some of that right now, and that's been pretty good. Where I can say like, yeah, I'll do this live stream with you, or oh, show me this product and I'll tell you like what you should fix, or you need a tech writer, here's the person you should talk to. Like I do a lot of things like that behind the scenes, and that's been fun and interesting. And once again, I do like the advisory side of things too. So it's been fun. I don't know if I'd want to do full-on agency, because then I'd have to do sales. Sales is, man, there's so many things that I probably should do more of, and I just know that that's not what I want to do.
Yeah, sales is that was my first career out of college. I did that for 4 years. I read a book, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
A classic, yeah.
Every year, and that's all I do. That's what I do here.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting you to talk more than I am talking.
Good job.
I forgot what chapter that is, though.
Yeah, it's somewhere in there. Yeah, and yeah, like sales is really interesting, and it is one of those things where it's like always be closing and all that, and it's just a very different job from the actual like content creation part or the actual writing part and stuff. And I also like management too. I have to figure that out, and I've got like a whole spreadsheet of me organizing my thoughts right now that I'm working on to try to figure out what'll be next.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting time, and I really think you should do improv. You should definitely check it out.
That does sound pretty fun. Humor writing is something that I do like for fun. I don't ever publish it. I just kind of like, I'll write a sketch or I'll write things like that, and I'm just like, that was funny, but I haven't done anything with it, and so maybe I'll do that for a while. Maybe you'll see me on a stage. Who knows? Yeah.
So we have some products that are open source that we haven't shipped yet, and I think so. I don't know when this is going to launch, but this will probably be in our GitHub, so anybody can see this. We had this idea, the open source contributor rating, and the acronym is OSCAR. And the idea is like, you know how everyone does like the end of the year, like you have the Oscars?
Yeah.
We can't say the Oscars because that's trademarked, but the idea is like you can now like win an Oscar based on like superlatives.
I love that.
Yeah, so like if you had an agency and you were like a comedy writer, because my whole thing is like, I think that folks who do comedy should be doing content. It's like a very clear, like that's what gets to get conversions. Yeah. We should talk about this because I think you would be a really good that would be host really for fun. The Oscars.
Yeah,
coming
that's
up.
The Oscars, and we'll figure out what you want to actually call it without getting in trouble.
CRs.
Yeah.
What am I thinking? There's like probably like what was 30 Rock probably had a meme on this.
30 Rock is my #1 favorite show of all time. I think the comedy writing in there is so good.
It's pretty good. It's quick. It's fast. So
it's very quick.
But I have a 5-year-old, my daughter, and when she was born, GitHub gave us 5 months off for paternal leave.
That's awesome.
And maternal leave, same deal. But I watched the entire run of 30 Rock the first time when she was born.
Wow.
The deal was just like feed her, go downstairs, but then just like turn on 30 Rock.
Yeah.
And I got through the whole thing. I think way before I went, because I actually went through Community as well.
Oh, wow. That's also great writing.
As well. Yeah, it's I'm glad I caught up on all that stuff because I feel like I'm a better funny person at this point.
Well, I think I could go into like why it's funny so much just because I think it's so interesting.
It's a secret sauce.
Yeah, I just love dissecting it, where I think a lot of the really funny things are when it's a throwaway line, something in passing, where they don't even acknowledge it. It was just like a funny thing they said. Where I actually watched a 30 Rock episode on the plane here because that's, again, #1 show. I will always watch it. And they'll just say like, oh, well, I'm busy this weekend. My cousin's parole ceremony, and then my other cousin's like police captain ceremony. Gosh, I hope a conflict doesn't happen that pits family against justice. Anyway, and then like just keep talking, and it's such a funny just throwaway line that I think does so well because it's like a weird like, whoa, what was that? But then they keep acting as if it's normal. I feel like that's such a good juicy piece of comedy that I even use that style like in my own blog posts where I try to write something very silly and I'll be talking about like React children props or something, and it's so fun when people read the blog post and like they message me afterwards being just like, I actually laughed about this thing, thank you so much, it made it more interesting. And I think that's so fun to inject that type of silliness and absurdity into something that is a serious topic.
Yeah, this is I feel like there's a lot of synergies in like how you approach this. I think I think we're contemporaries. We watched literally the same cable programming. But I was in React Miami and I gave a talk about TL Draw's star chart.
Yeah.
And the star chart like went straight up, and like it was like a planned joke. And this this is like off color, but basically in planned joke I said, oh, look at this giant erection of stars. Like someone should check that out. And then I stopped, paused, and then moved on because timing is everything in comedy.
Right.
And like so many people asked me, it's like, did you mean to say that? I said, yeah, I meant to say that.
Like, yeah, that was a joke.
Yeah, it was like
surprise.
But yeah, it went over well, and everyone remembers that chart that I was trying to pull a fast one on. I'm sorry,
right.
I'm not really sure what I was getting at, but
yeah, but no, that's the thing. Like I love doing that in talks where you like say kind of a throwaway line that's funny, but then you move on and everyone's like, wait, what'd she just say? And it is something that they remember, and then they end up also understanding the point more because it was something that made them like double think for a second. And I think that's a really valuable thing to inject in all kinds of content.
Yeah, cool. I wanted to. Well, we only have a few minutes left, so I wanted to. Let's just like the end of sitcoms, like we want to tell the audience like a really poignant thing to say from Cassidy or Cassidy, because you've got a lot of followers, you've got a huge platform, which is the secret sauce. We've got 4,000 subscribers.
Wow!
And so, like, what would your advice to be folks who are also in the same position? Like they need to do the next thing. They've got some years under their belt. Like, what's the next step for them?
Make content and things that are interesting to you, because the internet is a very big place and bigger than you think it is. Chances are someone will find it interesting and you can lean into that more. Because I feel like if you make content, and I say content as like this heavy word, it could be videos, it could be blogs, it could be podcasts, code, anything. If you make things that are very interesting to you and valuable to you, then it could be the thing that takes you to that next level in your career, where you end up working on something that you care about sooner rather than later, and it could end up being a really valuable thing to you that you didn't know about because you went for it.
That's good. So what was the last thing you pushed to GitHub?
Last thing I pushed to GitHub, I made a random button on my blog so you can click it and get a random post.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, it was actually really fun, and it's all open source. It's a template for Astro. You can just click it and use it. Yeah.
Cool. So I was non sequitur, but I was thinking I get one more clip out of you.
Oh, there you go.
YouTube Shorts.
Of course.
They're a thing.
Of course, it's a thing. What? There you go. There's another one.
That's actually going to be the thumbnail at this point.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Well, we're going to end it there before you make more faces for the thumbnails. Folks, stay saucy.